Hello, good evening, everyone. Uh, Welcome to yet another uh, ICAF member presentation. Today we will be starting with Kinjal. Kinjal, could you start sharing your screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Kinjal has completed her bachelor's in visual arts with a specialization in ceramics in 2022 from the College of Fine Arts, Chitrakala Parishad. She interned with Falguni Bhatt for 1 year in 2023 and since back in Bangalore has been working from her home studio and instructing at Clay Station. Over to you, Kinjal.
Thank you for the introduction. So I've started my bachelor's at College of Fine Arts in 2018. And from 2019 to 2022, I did my specialization in ceramics. So I actually studied in the old campus for 1.5 years. And after that, they shifted to Kengeri, to the new campus. These are some initial works. The medium was very new to me, and I started working with earthenware and stoneware, and these are just some initial works. In 2020, we did a lot of glaze and engobe tests. I think over 350 to 400 glaze tests. And that I think was extremely informative to understand the entire world of glazes. We also had a luster glaze workshop by Swapan Kumar and Anju Paliwal in 2020. And we also did another firing by ourselves after the workshop, which turned out quite successful. We also built Raku kilns and had different Raku firings under Ramya. We did naked Raku, white crackle glaze, Obvara, and luster. Then COVID hit and we were stranded with just 10 kgs of clay at home. So we kept making and breaking, and Ramya ma'am was actually giving us briefs every week, and we were making a lot of works with just reclaiming the same 10 kgs. And besides that, we did a lot of sketching and mixed media because at home we did not have any other resources. So whatever we found around the house, we used that to sort of keep the work going. We lost I lost 1 year almost in bits and pieces because of lockdowns and here and there, almost 1 year to COVID. And this was the only piece that I could fire after with all the lockdowns and whatever we made at home. This was one piece that I was able to fire. In 2021, we relined the gas kiln that we had in our studio. The Serawul was flaking off. So we had, under Bukanrat sir, we relined the entire kiln. That was a very extremely informative experience to actually see how the entire interior was, and we removed everything and we made we helped in relining and also in attaching. So I think that was an extremely wonderful learning experience. These are some works during that year. In 2021 also, COVID was sort of, it was there, the lockdown was there for a few months, and few months we ended up going. So these are just works from around that time. I did try doing an installation at college. These are just some bisque pieces from them. During the end of the year, I was fortunate enough to be a part of the student exchange program with Poland, the Academy of Fine Arts from Poland. And we had different subjects like light and darkness, and we had assignments from with each professor. And it was a very nice experience. We got to learn different subjects and work with different materials. So we had subjects like light and darkness, in space, sculpture, where we started with solid forms, moved to hollow, and different briefs for the assignments. We had basis of interior design, where we had to sort of design an outdoor as well as a sculpture painting and visual communications. This was all, was from 2021 to 2022. It almost was there. We were a part of it for 7-8 months. So it was a whole semester that we simultaneously worked for this as well. With that, we also did an installation at the campus, at the Kingeri campus. And this was the Jali installation, which was 6 by 12 feet. And the jalis that you see are all handmade. We've all individually made them, as well as the bricks. We did produce the bricks at college as well. This is a close-up view of the jalis, and we did use a mix of earthenware and stoneware for this. The jalis are mainly stoneware. Bottom is the individual jalis. And there are just few pictures from behind the scenes. We did go through a lot with this. A lot of learning happened. So it was making the jalis, the brick production. Then we had the foundation built, and we had a lot of fun. This was the first large-scale outdoor installation that we were also attempting. So I think the entire process was extremely a little overwhelming, but at the same time, a lot new things that we learned, worked with machinery that we would never otherwise, and understood how to scale up our work. So I think that was an amazing experience initiated by Ramya ma'am. And we got to, this also spanned over 4 generations actually. That's how we like to say. I was only the second batch at CKP, so this sort of went along with all the years that we were there, and passed it down to our juniors who finished it. In 2022, we assisted Gokunraj sir into making a downdraft brick gas kiln. These are few photos in the making. And this again was an extremely informative process with a lot of documentation. And Gokunraj sir actually was shared all the tips and tricks, and made us understand every question, every doubt that we had. So I think that was a great experience into sort of understanding both the kilns that were there in college, and making it from scratch gave it a whole different perspective as to how the fire behaves inside, and what are the things to be considered. So that was like just amazing. Later the year, I applied for the Kala Sakshi Foundation scholarship call, and I was participated in the workshop. I was selected for the workshop. So that included a lot on how to make the portfolio, how to make proposals, how to price your work, and how do curators see, and portfolio development. So this workshop specifically helped me understanding a lot of things a lot better. That was very helpful once I graduated. This was the last, my final year, where this submissions were the final submissions. And this is one of the close-up of the works. And I unfortunately was not able to do the final show. A lot of us had protested against the college, and we weren't given certain things, so we all ended up not doing the show. And yeah. Later that year in September, I was a part of a gallery show in Vanshanti Road by Art Fervor and Sizzle Like That studio. These are some of the works from them. And in 2023, I started, right after graduation, in 2 months, I started interning with Falguni ma'am. And I think it was one of the best decisions I've made. If anyone has visited her studio, it's beyond beautiful. And if you haven't, please do visit. But yeah, so she has been incredibly generous with everything actually. Every question I had, she let me use the studio materials, shared so much knowledge, tips and tricks, and she mentored me throughout the year, for which I'm extremely grateful. She helped me be a part of a lot of projects that really made the love for hand building completely grow to another level. While I was in Aurang studio, we had the paper clay revolution workshop by Graham sir in February. So these are some photos from then. And also at the studio, I focused a lot on hand building, and she allowed me to sort of build over it and strengthen my skills on that. I did take a few workshops there and assisted with a lot of different things, and the entire experience altogether, I think, is I wouldn't have gotten it any otherwise. It was just it's incredible. I mean, these are some works from the studio. I was able to experiment with different clays and different materials, different techniques. All of it was possible at the studio with Falguni ma'am. And in 2024, earlier this year, I was a part of a group show of the Silk Route, art traditions of the Silk Route at Bikaner House in New Delhi. And the works that I had given there were these. This work was inspired by the Kurdish rugs, their motifs, their style of weaving, and their entire story of how it was made. This work was inspired by the caravanseries and the trade routes that were built earlier in the Silk Road, and how it sort of grew to be the Silk Road that we know today. This work was inspired by the history of paper, how it started as just packaging and how it's slowly and been a major development in terms of documentation of global change. Coming back, I started working at home. I set up a small space in my house here in Bangalore. And I simultaneously started working at PlayStation and instructing there for hand building. Then this September, I was a part of another group show by ICAF and Kanoria Center called Elemental. And this was the work that I had submitted. Currently, I'm interning for conservation at the National Center for Biological Sciences. It's the archives at NCBS. I've been interested in conservation and restoration for quite some time now, and I'm very glad to have this opportunity to intern there and understand the techniques of conservation. And upcoming is I will be participating in the Bangalore Potters Market. That's happening in the 6th, 7th, and 8th of December at Chitrakala Parishad. Thank you.
Thank you, Kinjal. That was wonderful. We will be taking questions for your presentation after all the presentations are done. So thanks a lot. It was lovely. Okay, so next presentation is by Kaveri. Kaveri, could you please share your screen?
Yeah. Hi. So different points of time during Kinjal's presentation, actually, the audio was breaking. I'm not sure if it's for me. It
No,
might be my internet.
No,
or
but it is, a lot of places it's raining heavy. I'm not sure whether it's raining in Bangalore right now, but we are
so
experiencing
it,
some.
okay. So when her voice broke, it was not my
No,
device. Okay.
no,
I was just like, oh gosh, I'm going to be presenting and this happened.
no.
Okay. Uh, anyway, that was lovely. Can I start sharing?
Yeah, so Kaveri will be giving the presentation now. Kaveri Bharat trained under Raymaker and Deborah Smith at Golden Ridge Pottery, Pondicherry, in the mid-90s after a brief stint with Padma Rajgopal near Mysore. She later worked as Ray's assistant for a year, and that was where her love for teaching pottery was firmly established. She makes functional as well as conceptual ceramics while also teaching and building kilns. One of Chennai's earlier studio potter, she built her studio from scratch, making most of her own tools, kick wheel, building her own kiln, mixing her own clay. Her training at GBP was in wood-fired ceramics. However, her studio being in the city, she built herself a gas fired kiln and has adopted her materials and works accordingly. Teaching has been a constant in her life for the last 28 plus years, and she has taught classes, workshops privately, as well as taught courses at larger institutions like NID Ahmedabad. She is currently a visiting faculty at Global Arts at for the Global Arts at Cray University, Sri City, Andhra Pradesh, teaching 4 different courses each year. She has participated in various group shows nationally and internationally. So over to you, Kaveri.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm just going to just say this very fast because I'm trying to condense 28 years onto one slideshow for 10 minutes. So buckle your seatbelts. It's going to be quite fast. So just to start off, go back about almost 50 years in time. I was born in Chennai. I grew up here. My family is a big influence on me. So I started playing with mud and clay very young, and quintessential 70s family, you can see. And my grandfather had to include a photo of him because he was someone who was a professor of engineering, but he was a sculptor at home. And my love for clay started at a very young age thanks to him. Every time he was sculpting, he would give me a little clay and I would start with that. And unfortunately, he never knew that I was going to make a profession of it, and he had passed away by the time I did. So as it was already introduced, I started a little bit with Padma Rajgopal near Mysore, but my clay education primarily came from GBP. So Golden Bridge pottery, that was me way back when in 3rd century BC, I suppose. But I had long hair, and that was the infamous cat kiln at Golden Bridge pottery. That was me with my batch of students. I mean, my batch along with me. I keep learning at Golden Bridge pottery. We all look like children, but I assure you, we were all adults. This is me in my 2nd year. You might see some familiar faces here. So left to right, that's me. That's Aarti Veer, Deepika Talwar, Monica Tukral, Yardana Kurolkar, Shraddha Gopalan, and Pantini Thakkar. So coming back after doing 96, 97, I was both years in Golden Bridge pottery. I came back, I set up a studio starting right in my parents' backyard. So we all learned on the kick wheel. I set up one of those Rainmaker kick wheels in my backyard, and I started making pots there. And my kiln was just that little thing you see there in the side over there. That was my kiln. So it was just a terracotta kiln, and this was before I even went to GBP, when I didn't know how to fire it, and I spent almost 23 hours getting this to bisque temperature. I had no idea that that was unusual till I went to GBP and I realized that we were firing to cone 10 by then with wood, and I got a lot better very fast. This is in 2003 when my parents remodeled their house. So I moved out of the backyard for a while till they rebuilt it. It was built as 2 duplex downstairs, and my parents had the penthouse above it. And I put my studio on top of it. So the wheel is right on top of their bathroom, and the kiln over there that you see out in the corner over there, that's right on top of their bedroom. And this is how it has been for the last 22 years that I stayed here. This is the kick wheel, and that was my gas kiln. I set up a glaze lab as well. This was one of the cleaner days, so I could actually take a photograph. My glaze lab is not that organized all the time. And the kiln was something which was a labor of love. Some of you might know, I've been building kilns for other people for a long time, but my own kiln was always the last hole to fill. So I got the frame done, I don't know, probably in 1999. And then I filled it up. Every time I had a little money, I would buy one more box of bricks and fill it up. And it went on like this. And 2003, it moved to this terrace. I continued to build it. Then it sat built without any gas connection for years and years and years. Then finally in 2017 is when I finally managed to get the gas burners and the piping and everything and the gas connection done. And it's been the longest built kiln. Meanwhile, I've built many, many, many for others. And firing, because that's out in the terrace, I used to sit by the kick wheel. This is, with my coffee. It was nice to have my parents' house downstairs because hot food and everything will come up whenever you need it. I took students also at this small studio up on the rooftop, and that I got one of those, what was called the Jim Danish Nepali electric wheel, which is basically a motor attached to a belt, and you use your pedal to do it in that electric wheel. So I could take more than one student then at a time. I don't teach hand building. I feel like that's something you can learn on your own. So I teach throwing essentially. And a couple of years ago, I infringed more onto my parents' rooftop, and I, put this roof onto the terrace. So between where I had my wheel and the kiln, and I started taking students there, and then school groups, IB students would come and do their projects here. And this photograph is actually how I sat under the roof to fire the kiln. So the kiln will be firing there. The pyrometer's behind where you see my computer screen, and I'd be sitting here and doing work for the university. So this is how I functioned for very, very long, and I thought this was set. As you'll see at the end of the story, that's not all. Going a little bit back in time, in 2003, I started a shop. My love for handmade ceramics was not just for me to make, but also to have people enjoy ceramics made by everyone in India. And there was this whole lot of people who had just started making. And 2002, 2003 saw this sort of rise of a lot of studio potters coming up, and I wanted to sell their work. So I started a shop called Pothole. And it was very cute, very quaint little shop, even if I should say so myself. That's the entrance, and where you see the window at the back, it goes a little deeper in. And I had each shelf would be a different potter's work, and I really loved it. But I realized I'm terrible at business. People used to come, and if they liked something a lot, I used to give it away for free, and that's not how you run a shop. So within a year I closed it down. But Pothole was a name that stuck in my head, and I wanted it to be something to promote ceramics for a long time. So in about 2012, 2013, friends of mine who ran this place called The Farm, it's on an actual farm. They make a lot of produce. They grow things right there. They have a dairy farm. They make 12 kinds of cheeses. As they were growing, they said, why not have a pottery here? So in that, I put that little kick wheel in, and I started there. And as potters, we know people give us 2 square feet, we'll take 3 acres. And that's how it goes. So I soon put some clay making tanks there, and I started mixing a clay body. Then I crowdfunded to build India's first crowd-funded wood-fired soda kiln. And it was amazing. There are a lot of people, I'm sure, watching here who gave. So some people gave 200, 300 rupees. Some people gave 10,000. But ultimately, I was able to finance the buying and the transporting of all the material to build the kiln, as well as the shed around it, and the first firing fuel, plus the shelves and the pyrometer and the thermocouple. The entire thing was funded just on the goodwill of people who gave little amounts. It was, considering I was giving away pots for free in the shop, this was completely out of character for me to ask for money. But that was the finished kiln finally when I had it. It was a Buri box fire, and I love the Buri box. It's something that, it really makes it like laid back wood firing, like Steve Harrison says. So at the farm, having put a kiln, having put clay tanks, I also brought my one kick wheel there. So therefore I set up another shed. So I started taking classes there, and, from jewelry to also inviting others. Sushma came and did a printmaking workshop. You'll recognize some faces there who came to participate. Then I also had Jane German come and do an Obara workshop there. And the place just grew and grew. And eventually they put a fence around me because I was taking up too much space. They have 70 acres of farm, but they didn't want me to take all of it, friends of mine. So I started putting things in their shop, and I started making also the ceramic jewelry. It was a wood-fired soda kiln. So all the glazed stuff you see is made in my rooftop kiln, gas kiln, and then this was fired here. And I also, in their farm shop, I was selling some of my ware. This particular mug I've taken a photo of because the glaze is extra special. It's a glaze that I formulated using ash from the kiln that I fired on the farm, as well as ash from their wood-fired pizza ovens in their farm restaurant. And that ash comes from trees that grow right around there. They grow the trees for the firewood, for their pizza ovens. I use the same thing for my kiln. And that ash I used to make a glaze, which I fired in that thing. So it was a complete loop, and I loved the whole thing to it. Speaking of pizza ovens, I built both their pizza ovens, and then now I've built their bread ovens as well. So anyone who goes to the farm Chennai and eats there, just know it's ovens built by me. Of course, being out on a farm also means disaster. So 2015 cyclone, luckily the tree fell away from my wheel and kiln. If it had fallen this way, it would have been far bigger disaster. But that was the time that I started taking interns, and my intern couldn't get to Chennai because it was cut off for 3 days with the damage from the cyclone. When she finally did come, I got her to help me clean up. And then she spent very few days actually making things, because there was a whole, very much, a lot of cleanup to do and organizing of materials and other things. These things happen. So since I've spoken so much about kilns, I thought I'd quickly show you the tiniest kiln I've ever built. This was built in a matter of like half an hour and fired in a matter of 2 hours. So that's a tiny kiln. Then this is like a traditional village potter's kiln, but with a preheating chamber underneath. I built this in schools and other places. I built a slightly bigger version of it for myself. This was at Padma Rajgopal's place in 1994, 95. And this is the traditional, what is called the philosopher's kiln. It's an S shape that goes up, and it's used as a raku kiln. But I've built this in many places. There was a point of time about 10 years ago that I was teaching middle school English, but I was also teaching pottery at the same school. So this was set up for my parent-teacher meeting. The parent would come there, I would be talking to them, and meanwhile, I'll also go and stoke the kiln in the back. It was an interesting time. Then at NID, when I've been teaching, I teach a course called Firing Methods from time to time. And so each time I used to make the students build this philosopher's kiln from scratch as part of their course. So other than learning about different firing methods and what happens in ratios and gas firing and electric firing, and there are lots of theory, and for the practicals, they had to actually make and fire the kiln and do some raku firing. So this was 25 years ago at the Alliance Française in Chennai, and I had a smoke-fired pottery workshop. There also, I get participants to build the kiln. Why should I sit and do all the work? So this is one of the NID student batches. They got a little adventurous one year, and they thought they were building a cobbled arch, and it went, clearly they were not construction savvy, they were not masons. But the next batch, we had a lot of architects in that, so their arch was a lot better. Similar kiln I started off before my wood-fired soda kiln at the farm. I first built this kiln and graduated from that. Then I started getting fancy and experimenting with an arch on one side of it. Then when you build a tiny kiln and you can build it in a matter of hours, you can get quite creative with the bricks, and wood firing is something that you get used to, so you know when to stroke. So this was Rekha Srinivasan helping me fire for some, I think it was a smoke-fired workshop. So first we biscuit in this kiln. Meanwhile, gas firing, I had a small raku kiln like this on the rooftop that I used to take around to schools. So I had a single cylinder, single burner, and a raku kiln, and I would carry it in the back of my car along with a few bags of clay. So go set up in a school, they make the things, you dry it there, you fire it in the kiln, then you cool it. The next day you come, unload it, give it to them, pack the whole studio up again, and back into the back of my car. It all fitted in the back of a Swift, so it's easy. This is a slightly larger kiln. This I built for Spastic Society of Tamil Nadu for their vocational training center, and I helped them learn how to fire it. It's the same kind of kiln, but with a flat roof that I built for myself. And then I changed that 2 years ago to an arched roof. This is if anyone's been to GBP, you know the Upma kiln, which is a 24 cubic foot wood-fired kiln. I built this at Dakshin Chitra at their ceramic center, which I was managing the ceramic center for a couple of years, during which a Korean potter called Jaejun Lee actually gave the funding to be able to build this kiln. And this is, of course, the kiln at the pothole at the farm. But this doesn't exist anymore. Just before COVID, I found managing 2 studios was very difficult. So I packed this up, and I think it is Apurva Rao near Mysore. She has bought this kiln. I transported all the bricks to her. Apurva, if you're watching this, have you built it? I don't know. I hope you have. So that next to it, you see that's a ton of wood, and that's what fired this kiln, this soda kiln. So Tata bye to that kiln. I do a lot of sketching, and that I try to bring some amount of that sketchily quality into some of my designs, but not really. I mean, I'm not so much into brushwork as much. I prefer the pencil. But so things that I do other than make pots and teach pottery is, of course, building kilns. And this is work with an NGO where we use art, craft, and sport in order to provide safe spaces for adolescent girls in difficult communities, difficult backgrounds. And of course, I owe a lot to my mentors, to Ray and Debbie. I cannot begin to say how much I owe to them, because someone once told Ray, you have only 4 students a year, how easy for you. But what they fail to see is that their students, hang around his neck for the rest of our lives. We never graduate, we never leave. It's been 28 years since he taught me, but I still am his student as far as I'm concerned. And of course, the workshops that they bring, many of them, and then others also, Raki, who brought Ruth Ann Tudball, who was a long time, it was a dream of mine to be able to meet Ruth Ann and work with her, and I got to do that workshop. These are just photos of some of the one school group and one college group when I've been teaching. So 10 years I taught at NID as visiting faculty, 4 different courses. Now I'm at Kriya University for the last 4 years, and I've been teaching here as visiting faculty. I teach clay materials and methods. I teach a module called Music from Mud, where you make musical instruments. I teach a module which is firing methods again. And right now, something that I taught in NID as an open elective called Jalis, I'm teaching now at Kriya University. I'm just going to end with this part, which is this year, 2024, what have I been up to? I'm sorry, it took too long to load, and I couldn't load better pictures. These are terrible pictures of a very lovely show I did in collaboration with a glass artist called Radhika Krish. So we had glass and ceramics together earlier this year in February, March. It was called Kindred Fire, and it was very well received. A lot of people came. This was at the Info Center in Chennai. And in September, Supriya organizes usually the contingent from India for the Ardella Italia. This time, the exhibition got to be part of the official exhibitions of the Ardella Italia. So in August, September, I went along with Deepika, Supriya, Nikita, and Raji. The 5 of us were there, and the theme this time was Golden Bridge Pottery as a tribute since we lost Debbie. And it was really lovely. And we also had a little stall, you can see, selling little small things, only what we could carry. So this was my piece at that show. It's called Ladybug and Bumblebee, and it's a whole story for another day as to why it's called that. So this was with the mayor of Faenza that we had our photograph. We had a foreign delegates reception. It was so lovely to see Faenza, which was a town completely only all about ceramics. And then we took the same show to Rome, to a gallery called Creta. It's a small gallery, but apparently the only one in Rome that shows ceramics. And it was there for just 3 days, but we had lovely interaction with so many visitors, people who just dropped in or people who came specifically to see this. We had over there on the screen, both at Faenza and here, we had the video, which were excerpts, a shortened version of what Rajiv Krishnan and Ray Meeker had made, a movie on Golden Bridge pottery way back in 2002, 2003. And so from that, we had excerpts which were playing there and, watching Debbie paint. It was beautiful. So I have to say a big thank you to Supriya for, facilitating this. I am going to stop and just show quickly a few selected works. I was planning to actually show you a little bit of what's happened the last 1 month since I came back from Ardella, which is actually I've had to pack up my entire studio, chop up my kiln, put it in boxes, and it's sitting in 5 different garages now, and I don't know what the future holds for it because it has no place to go, and the building on which it is going to be redeveloped. So I'm looking for a space to put it, and maybe I'll just end up putting it on top of my own roof till I can think of anything else. We'll see. It's right now sitting very sadly in boxes, and I decided those visuals of a kiln being chopped up were just too sad to put in a presentation, so I'm not including that. these are works, some of them are old, some of them are new, some of them are conceptual, as that are clearly not functional, but there are others which are very functional. So just to give you an idea of work, wood-fired, gas-fired, soda, salt, different places, different kilns, anagama work, and that's gas-fired again. So during COVID, I started selling on a WhatsApp group, and a lot of people like these coffee pour-over sets, so I was selling dozens of these. I don't know why so many people, but of course, Madras coffee drinkers, but I would think they would go for the filter coffee. Clearly not. I make my own glazes, my own clay body. Sometimes I take clay body from Guggen or from others, and then I add to it. And I had to put a little more bite. I like it a little more gritty. And that's me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful seeing your work, down the memory lane again, GBP. Lovely. Thanks. We will be taking some questions for your presentation after the other two have showcased. So now Rahul will be showcasing his work. Rahul? Yeah. Can you share your screen? Okay. So Rahul, yeah, I'll just give a brief introduction about Rahul. Rahul completed his graduation from Surat Fine Arts College, specializing in sculpture. He has around 10 years of experience as a visual art facilitator in an IB school and has honed his skills in art education, curricular development, student mentorship, and project management. Now he's focusing as an independent artist, and his focus is mainly on personal artistic growth, studio practices, curatorial projects, and self-directed artistic explorations. So over to you, Rahul. We'd like to see your work.
Okay, 1 minute, I set a timer.
Sure. No. Go ahead.
I talk in Hindi because of my Hindi teacher. तो मेरा जो ग्रेजुएशन है सूरत फाइन आर्ट से मैंने ग्रेजुएट किया है और स्पेशली इन कल्चर, बट साथ में मेरा ड्राइंग वो सब चलता रहता है. तो ये मेरे जर्नल के जो पेजेस हैं उसके सम ड्राइंग्स है. तो 3 साल जब पूरे अपना अकाउंट आईडी स्कूल है वहां पे मैंने अपना एजुकेशन स्टार्ट किया देने का. तो
1 मिनट राहुल, 1 मिनट राहुल. आप थोड़ा आपका आवाज क्लियर नहीं आ रहा है. थोड़ा पास में लेंगे जहां से बात कर रहे हैं.
ओके, 1 मिनट.
जी जी.
अब हो रहा है क्लियर? अभी क्लियर है
जी.
बेटर है ना? हेलो.
हाँ, बेटर है.
तो करता हूँ. ओके. तो मेरे कुछ जर्नल के पेजेस हैं, ड्राइंग है. तो 3 साल तक जब मैं प्रैक्टिकल वर्क नहीं कर रहा था तब मेरा टोटली फोकस ऑन ड्राइंग है जैसे जर्नल के.
I think we lost the screen share by Rahul. Just 2 minutes, let him log in. Otherwise, we'll go for Shraddha's presentation. Rahul, please unmute and screen share.
Hello.
Ji.
Okay.
Yeah. Please share your screen. We can't see your screen. No. Guys, 2 minutes. We'll just wait for Rahul to log in back. Rahul, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है. अब स्क्रीन शेयर हो रहा है. It's quite slow.
स्क्रीन शेयर हुआ?
हाँ, पर आपकी आवाज आ रही है. स्क्रीन अभी आने में टाइम ले रहा है. हाँ, अब हुआ.
हुआ?
जी.
स्टार्ट करता हूँ.
जी. वापस गया. Rahul, it's again gone. क्या आप स्विच कर रहे हैं? एक स्क्रीन से दूसरे स्क्रीन में कुछ ऐसा कुछ कर रहे हैं जिसकी वजह से ये हो रहा है? ठीक है, अभी विल वेट राहुल. हम श्रद्धा का पहले कर लेते हैं, देन विल अगेन कम बैक टू यू. ठीक है? इज इट ओके? श्रद्धा, आर यू देयर? श्रद्धा जोशी.
Unmute.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hi Shraddha, can you just share your screen?
Yeah.
And yeah, about Shraddha. Shraddha is a fine artist based between Mumbai and Cardiff. Growing up in northeast rural Maharashtra, only to move to Mumbai to study at Sir J.J. School of Art. After several years of studio practice, she decided to challenge herself as an artist and upgrade skills with master programs at Cardiff Metropolitan University with Charles Wallace Scholarship in 2019. Later, she found opportunities and creative communities and made Cardiff as her home. Over to you, Shraddha.
Thank you.
Can you share your screen, please? Yeah.
Can you see?
Yeah.
Do you want me to put it fit to page or something? Is it fine? I'm still struggling with this.
Yeah, that will be good. You can just fit to width and
Yeah. Just zooming out.
make it. Yeah.
I can get rid of this. Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Hi, I am really sorry to be not able to have the very old pictures because of various reasons. I started my creative journey in the JJ School of Art in the early 2000s, and I was trying to find myself a positioning with a very scientific brain in this crazy art school world, which JJ School was, and I'm very lucky to be having that sort of opportunity without any preparations as such. But I was thinking some architectural sort of um, movement in my aesthetics, and I stumbled upon the ceramics department, and I just knew that this is something I would like to take up further. And entire 4 years it was just having like basic skills, but I was like kind of student who would be more rebellious, going out and take up challenge. It was Mumbai was very tough to be acquainted with a lot of other things, but I was like, I'm here to be somebody, not just kind of um, so the challenge is, while actually taking up ceramics as my bachelor's, was more than the outside world to be getting just the basics of the job. And then by the time I actually have won the gold medal and all the academic achievements, and topping the glaze chemistry from Gradius and all, I realized that to set up a studio here or to find a job is quite a bit of a challenge. So I took up a job as a commercial artist in the print media, and some of the perks of getting into the print media was learning new softwares and working under pressure, building a good sort of network, and working in night shifts. So morning I can work with the studios and get freelancing work, commission work, etc. So more than my graduation time, I spent so much of my time, early time, in the print industry, more than 5 years. By the time I become, and actually I'm in a holding good position and a salary, but that was not something fulfilling. And the whole saving I had, I finally get a chance to start up this studio called Clay Crossing, and these are some of the pictures. So the presentation actually starts in here. So let's say in 2011, I had a actual start of my ceramic practice. I did had some few skills and a graduation for the sake of it, but I didn't get involved in the clay. And I used to find it very unfortunate for the fact of, the resources or the guidance or so many other things. This time I was in touch with Sandeep, sir, who was my mentor from all these years and who has been playing a very crucial role to have these many facilities and getting kilns and the courses. So with the start of the glaze course at his Goregaon studio, I had the understanding that I'll take it up, and I was trying to find the building. So Clay Crossing was very much fancy studio in the Lokanwala setting. I was part of the MBA program in the ISB Hyderabad for the like building your own small business model of the isolated industries. And the space was part of the end of the graduation that, okay, fine, you want to do something with this. So my ideas were very grand in all my early 20s, and I used to put a lot of effort and envision what would it come to. Um, the plan was to have as many workshops, couples pottery workshops, or birthday parties or corporate workshops, as and get this the community built up. And I would like to build that awareness initially to take like 3, 4, 5 years to at least have a base. And my workshops were only on the Saturdays, and the rest of the days I used to travel around, find things. So this is my first picture, what you're seeing here, the at my like initial interaction with kids, and that stayed with me for like from 2011. And now I feel the age of my potential students and the children were declining, and currently I'm with the Montessori school. But yeah, that's the beginning of it. And with roughly 5 years of exploration, I realized that I can find my aesthetics into something spirituality, and I dig deep about the Sri Yantra and all the ancient carvings, the temple architecture, and I began with this particular production work of the decor work. I got a commission at the time, and this is the first international exposure I had by the year December 2016, and which was sponsored by MSME. Same with Artigiano, the Italian showcase, which now Supriya is hosting. I'm very bad with name currently, but Shanti and I went the same year in the Italy for different kind of versions. So this was my first actually solo show internationally with the decor pieces, and all my projects were done because of the kiln size at New Pottery, and at that time it was just begin like around 10 years back, 8 years back. And then with that, I thought I can just experiment with glazes and practice myself. And I went to Orville to actually find the actual people who call themselves as in established bodies. And I had this inquisitive nature, more of the like soul searching, and I was very like so much the balancing the way cash goes on getting the studio going and trying to find the balance for traveling across and meeting people, etc. So this was in the year 2017, and I ended up going for another show. So Supriya's kick wheel pottery was my actual wheel throwing skills. In the JJ school, I've learned only centering, but never was the tableware my calling. And I used to find myself very not good enough sort of thing. But that intensive course for a couple of months at Orville have really led me to a deeper understanding and stay. So then the next year, 2018, the Trinale happened, and I was assisting Riaz for the Mosaic Children Workshop and was volunteering around. That was a good exposure. I could visualize a lot of my sketches and a lot of my concepts coming in the life with the right narratives. And the entire 2-3 months of that action was very much a learning. And I have enrolled myself for the Riaz's first residency at Himachal. And this is the like the actual work I now feel reflecting and making this presentation that is being done today. So this was for the Charles Wallace show and the scholarship, the portfolio, and this was very tiny terracotta slip glazed sculptures, narrating contrast. And in my approach of artistic practice, I always trying to find the bridge between the absolute two contrast. I sometimes feel I have this big personality, or the life experiences were so extreme up and down that this clay practice kept me going. And I have always stayed away from glazes, a lot of glazes, though I would love to learn them. And so this is me working with Clear Lalmiti. I connected with Elodie, wonderful person, and I have actually taken up things. That was the most toughest time of my entire life, which is depicting this work. I was actually like running away from a lot of things, personal loss and so many other things, but thanks to this beautiful medium and the possibilities it can bring without any fancy sort of setup. So this is the sculpture which I personally like, and then this remaining straps. Finding it. Thankfully, I got chosen for the scholarship program, and I was planning to do some more shows and keep my studio back here in India, up, so I can participate in. In the meanwhile, there was a very big action we had successfully arrived to go through, is to set up the IES Ceramic Center, which was in Deep's vision to have a biggest communal studio in the heart of the Mumbai. And the wonderful studio, I was working there for almost 6 months, full-time programs, and we were trying to teach. So my teachings were always visiting faculty in different schools, or taking these kind of workshops, or designing a curriculum for CBSE, for taking visual arts very seriously. none of the documents I could put up in this presentation, because again, like Kaveri said, it's 20 years to put up, 25 years to put in presentations, but sharing some of the works. So this is the body of work I could build it up as for the first wood firing, again, getting the contrast together. And it's like internal conflicts, and this is more of a brutalism I have evolved into taking. It was a like big series of work. Around 50 of these bricks were made before I left for the UK. Was the first submission I have to do, and I totally enjoyed the form. And here comes the UK, so it was a good exposure. I could really visit a lot of times to Tate Modern and VNA, and I have extensively used the stipend or all the gateways to travel before actually start my practice to the thing. And my tutors were fantastic. They have guided me that you have a very spiritual undertone to all your work, so why don't you kind of develop a form. And all the process was so much of my own refinement in a way. This particular chart is something of my process, and I believe that process is everything what one would want to look up to and renew the approach every 3 to 4 or 5 years. So like how the whole world have started, and the universal geometry, and the the root of everything, how everything is started. It's something my longest fundamental question for the longest period of time. And as I mentioned earlier, the inquisitive nature and a lot of experimentation, and of course the not good enough voila approach have led me to places, and finally I find the stability in the first 6 months of my master's. And this is something I was continuously sketching, printing, and doing a lot of research on how I want to do. And I come up with this particular form with sense and potential of lasting many contexts and many concepts into it. Some of the earlier works were, finding the right method for getting this pod. I tried plaster carving, slabs, I think every possible thing, and all my tutors were frustrated that you got all the techniques right, but come on, like give us some sort of different things. So I was banned for doing the any other works which I have tried earlier, like the Sriyantra series or even the Faces series, which has been displayed in most of the Potter's Market earlier. And then I have developed this form, and I could find that slip casting is very, very full effect. One of the breakthrough in my journey, at most odd circumstances, was the COVID time. Boundaries were closed and universities were closed, and I already have paid to this thing. So all I had is 1 year in the UK and deferred the programs. And that time the sport factories was one of the turning point in my recent creative journey. And I was with these archives, the large archives of molds and beautiful library and the history. And it was like a curfew. There was nobody in the busiest Mumbai's exposure. I could find that calming effect in Stoke. So those 4, 5, 6 months where which I taken an internship with sport have really turned. And that time I collaborated my works with videographers, the film video, to only shoot ceramic artists in the working or in the final thing. So this movie, Spiral of Life, was after my just graduation at school, and I stayed there for quite a long period of time. And this have really helped me submit the thesis. And then I try to explore different ways of getting going. This is the recent ICT work, which was originally made in the softwares, like more of a commercial proposals I had during the graduation. Unfortunately, things didn't turn out into the the physical form, but the proposal I kept trying to discover. And my project partner, Ross Andrews at the Communist Pottery Studio, had more of a technical hand into getting things. So the 3D printing approach, or even casting in the production, and or even trying to consider different materials in combination with ceramics, it all have happened the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And yeah, so this is where I am. This is the last work, and currently I'm doing a lot of research and progressing towards the PhD, and I have to probably re-enroll, and there are a few supervisors here and there, but I travel frequently between Mumbai and Cardiff, and I am a qualified Montessori teacher, so for my practice I work for days, like 25, 30 hours in the school and the rest of the time in the studio. Over here now I'm working with IES, the Communal Center, and there is a lot of like possibilities to take the things forward. So with every 4 years fall, I feel this is the beginning now. This is the actual start, and this is extremely engrossing. This is extremely like all-consuming medium for one to be able to find scope of the works. So yeah, I mean, I try to keep it framed in one project in a year, and I was always trying to find an installation at public settings, not very much art gallery or like small sculptures, which would be a different way of narrating the story. What I want to tell, which is very difficult for me to put in the presentation, is that the curation, like if we can step aside and see ourselves as a person, and step us aside and see our work after the work is done, before, and think there is a beautiful contemplation comes on the way, and which give you insights. And for me, that was very, very rewarding to stay up with this medium. Not even a single time I had a thought of second thought of getting dragged in any other temptation. And I feel there are a lot of facets of working in ceramics, which is like demographic or like your social political angle and other things. But this is pottery is very spiritual. Pottery is very soul, very deep. You get your calling at any point from any stage of life, or people from all walks of life can the clays calling. So this is the major reason I feel challenging ourselves on every now and then can be very exciting. You feel like a child to get me the clay and I'll just get going. So yeah, I mean, I find a lot of directions in sorting a lot of other issues with working with clay. And I don't know how to make money out of the clay, or I don't know how to get into the gallery zone, but curating is something I would love to do in my upcoming thing, along with the extensive research. The context of the research was very much of a quantum physics, and like in the early 2000s, struggling to set myself in art school in JJ. I came from a very science background, and I was actually trying to find mathematics and physics into some sort of form in a very subconscious way. And now I can consciously trace them up and find the threads in there. I think it's a long time. I should just stop here. Thank you so much. I'm open for all the questions, and it's a little abrupt, but try to create like the milestones and the main points. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shraddha. And yes, aren't we all trying to make money out of ceramics? Let's hope we will achieve that soon.
Yeah.
Can you just stop sharing? I'll be sharing Rahul's presentation. Yes, send it to me. Yes, Rahul.